first time I sat down and interviewed somebody in person. This person is Remy James, and we had a lot of fun. Remy is nothing short of unique. Once a cooking school student, Remy decided to drop the pots and pans and instead pick up the pen and paper to make creative advertisements. Remy tells his story of breaking into art direction and lends valuable advice on advertising, from attending portfolio school to working at his dream agency. We learn the importance of finding your peace, your friends, and an agency that works to deliver fulfilling work. We explore the differences between large holding company-owned agencies and smaller independent shops. Because today he works as an art director at Mekanism. I love the camaraderie of art director / copywriter partnerships. Remy is at a point now where he's teamed up and working full-time with his good friend from grad school. And while it took them a while to work together, they are now back at it in full force as a creative duo. Remy is a campaigns instructor at Chicago Portfolio School, where I work as a community manager. Students in his class love him, and I had to have him on for an episode. This episode is supported by Chicago Portfolio School, and I suggest you check it out at chicagoportfolio.com. I will note that I selected to have Remy on independently because he is so exciting and helpful for you all. To connect with Remy and to see his recommended resources, visit our Instagram at enteringad. One more time, that's at enteringad. Now, on with the show. This is the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast, and as usual, I'm your accomplice, Gino Schellenberger. Kick it, Mikey. Remy, welcome to the Breaking and Entering Podcast. This is our second take at it. How are you doing today?
Hey guys, this is Remy James. Happy to be here.
Yep, we are
feeling good.
Yep, we know what we're doing now.
Yeah.
This is my first in-person recording. First go around, had some issues, but we're good now. We got the grease going on the wheels, I guess.
Yeah.
So, Remy, you are going to be a fun guest. We had a good time before, and we're going to have a good time now. You are an art director at Mekanism.
I am an art director at Mekanism in Seattle.
But we're in Chicago Portfolio School right now recording here.
Yes, we're in Chicago right now. Beautiful right. Chicago.
Beautiful Chicago, but you're looking to get out. You're doing the virtual work at Mekanism, which is an independent agency, which we'll touch upon. But tell us about yourself and Mekanism and whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, sure. About myself. I have 2 cats. I have a dog. They're awesome. I love them. I work in advertising, so I could pay for their food for the most part and to drink on the weekend, even though I'm taking it really easy with drinking now. So in terms of Mekanism, yes, as you said, Mekanism is an independent agency. That's kind of what drew me into them. I used to work for holding companies and felt like things were moving very slow. And also creativity was definitely not the top priority most of the time. The top priority was always about profit, which is great because it's advertising, and at the end we need to sell stuff, but we don't have to completely destroy creativity in the process.
Right. So finding a balance between the two is super important for you as an art director, as somebody that loves advertising. Creativity matters, and you don't find that a lot at some of these larger holding companies.
Yes, I think a balance is very well said. At Mekanism specifically, I think there is a good amount of balance of work that needs to be done to keep the lights on and work that will be very fruitful in terms of creativity.
Who are some of the big clients at Mekanism right now?
We got Amazon, we got Peloton. I think we have Ben & Jerry's. I don't know.
What are you working on?
I personally work on Mod Pizza and Amazon.
Those are both good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mod Pizza is something I never heard of before.
Really?
Yeah.
At all? Like,
never.
But you're familiar with the process, right? Like that type of chain of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with it now.
Like
But-
pizza making style? Like, is it one of those, like you kind of like, it's kind of like the Chipotle of pizza ordering?
Yeah.
Where you kind of go up to the counter like Subway and pick what you want on it?
Mhm. Yeah, it's like blades, right? Like I knew
Blades,
of
yeah.
blades, but I didn't know of mod. But they're just really cool, you know.
They are pretty good. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
I always tend to overload when I go to those places. Like I want the meatball, I want the pepperoni. Like I just go way too much on them. There's like they have the preset options that are probably preset for a reason.
Mhm.
Like you probably should just order those because when I do it, I go crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I probably will. Honestly,
Mhm.
I'll overload and buy some Tums
Yeah.
afterwards.
You should put the Tums on the pizza. Could be a special. Awesome. So we're gonna kick it back. You are an art director at Mekanism. You weren't always at Mekanism. What we can highlight in this episode really is breaking into art direction.
Yep.
We could talk about portfolio schools or like
Uh-huh.
graduate schools. We could talk about large versus smaller agencies, independent versus non-independent. Where do you want to take it? Let's kick it back to how you got involved in advertising and
Yeah.
why you picked art direction.
Sure. Okay, let's kick it back to when I started. I went to cooking school at first.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I made some good food once, and my friends.
How did you decide to go to cooking school? Like, did you just like food?
No, that's the thing, is that I wasn't really into cooking, but I cooked once, and then I was told that I could potentially be good at it, and I made the mistake of listening to people. So I went to cooking school. I wasn't good at it. I ended up flanking and leaving, and then I went to business school. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What would you cook at cooking school? Like,
well-
what do you cook there? Like, what do they have you make? Like, I know the big thing is they're super clean. Like, you need to clean it all the time.
So I
But,
mean,
like, knife
I made
skills.
there's like classes for knife skills. There's like sauce classes where I did hot French food, so it would be like bechamel and like the 7 mother sauces.
I don't know what that is.
There's just the French have a lot of sauces, and you have to
Like, they're all butter, right? It's all butter based.
yeah, but it takes like hours to make. Like sometimes it takes 3 days to make. So
Like what? Like, what's the hardest thing you had to make?
Well, I don't know what the hardest thing I ever had to make was an omelet, a French omelet. Believe it or not.
Yeah,
A French
there's a lot of
omelet
technique in
is
that.
judged with precision. Though that was like our finals, was a French
Really?
omelet.
And
Yeah.
you didn't do very well?
No, I didn't do very well.
Did it taste fine though? Like, do you get to eat
I
it
mean,
after?
it tasted like
Omelet.
an omelet.
It's just the consistency and the tech. Yeah.
And the texture, and you can't have any browning, and so it's like
Okay.
yeah.
So do you still cook well from that?
No, absolutely not. I don't cook well. I order HelloFresh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like, you have no skills that transferred over from it? I mean, you
My
probably know
cutting
what to do.
skills are pretty good.
Your what?
My cutting skills.
Oh.
Yeah.
Balanced knife.
I've impressed a few ladies before with my cutting skills.
Interesting.
But that's all I got from my $17,000
Hmm.
dropout degree.
Do you have to pay for the ingredients while you're working there?
No.
Like, they have everything,
They-
like a big kitchen?
They pay for it from your tuition,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
have a
You're
kitchen
paying
full
for
of
it.
food, yeah.
And you got to eat all the time?
No, actually, honestly, because you have to clean up right away, and most of the food you throw out.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right, then
yeah.
we'll move on from there. But that's really interesting in general too.
Yeah.
So you went to business school, and then what? And you studied what there?
I studied finance. Yeah, I went to Montclair
sounds
State
terrible.
University. It was fun. You know, economics was fun, intriguing. Didn't love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to transfer to the only school I could think of that I could afford that also does somewhat advertising,
Okay.
which was South Dakota State University.
Sure.
Yeah. Not a well-known program in advertising. Probably the least known program
And where are
in
you from?
advertising. I'm Jersey.
Right.
Yeah.
So South Dakota, you go to South Dakota.
Yeah, to South Dakota. And then there I study more the strategy aspect of advertising.
Okay.
Right? Because they didn't really have a strong creative program.
Mm-hmm.
And I finished that program.
Right.
But I wanted to be a creative.
So that's a common theme, though. That is a common issue. Not a lot of these big schools, not a lot of schools have a really strong creative program. Some do.
Yeah.
Undergrad wise.
Mm-hmm.
So you found yourself, you want to be an art director. You wanted to be a copywriter. Am I right on that?
Yeah, I wanted to be a copywriter.
And you couldn't do that because you didn't really have a portfolio, or you didn't have enough solid work.
I had a bad portfolio, I would say.
Okay. You had something like strung together.
Yeah, I had something that I put together, with my limited design skills.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't good enough for any internship at a big agency. I used to even think, this is kind of crazy to think about, because I used to sit in my dorm at South Dakota State, looking through the Leo Burnett intern Instagram and being so sad, being like, oh man, I'm never gonna work at Leo Burnett. That's impossible. That will never happen.
Foreshadow here.
Yeah, so it's crazy that that's why it meant so much to me when I got the job at Leo Burnett.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so crushing to realize that it was nothing that I thought it was going to be.
Okay, we'll get to that. We're just teasing the future there, and that's a really good foreshadow. So you decided did you apply to agencies and get denied? What made you say, okay, I have to go to grad school, I have to go to portfolio school, I have to go to this?
No, I didn't even bother to apply. I mean, I saw I saw people's portfolios that came out of portfolio school.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that there's no way, if I was making the hiring decision, I wouldn't hire me.
At least you had the self-awareness at that moment that you knew, okay, I need to get better. And that's big of you to say. And that's not a lot of people could do that.
Yeah, it was hard because I didn't know where to go from there,
Mm-hmm.
I moved to Atlanta after my South Dakota journey, and I decided to go to the Circus, which is an advertising school.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was seeing someone who wanted to go to SCAD, which is Savannah College of Art and Design.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to just apply to both and see who gets into what and go to the one where we both get into.
Okay.
So I got into the Circus, and she got into the Circus.
There you go. You go to the Circus then.
No, it's more complicated than that.
Okay.
I got into SCAD, but she didn't get into SCAD. So I kind of decided to go to SCAD because, I don't know, maybe it's ego, but it felt better. It kind of felt like I wanted to go to art school.
Do you get a degree there?
You get a degree, and you get a master's in fine arts.
Okay, MFA.
And then you learn more. It's a more holistic art education.
Sure.
Rather than
direct niche advertising.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Which has taught me a ton as an art director.
More diverse.
Yeah, I've learned that concepting could mean two different things to a designer and an art director, or an art director that works not even in advertising.
Sure.
Concepting is there's 100 million different ways of concepting, and I'm not talking about we can do it at a coffee shop or at another place. I mean, the type of thinking is totally different.
There's different processes for all these from different roles, and I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I had the chance to work with motion designers. I had a chance to work with sound designers at SCAD. I had a chance to work with filmmakers, graphic designers, UI designers, even fiber designers.
Sure. I don't know what fiber designer
Fibers is people who create patterns from scratch. And their whole thing is about understanding fabric for the fashion designer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you were exposed to all these different disciplines, and that helped you become a better creative.
Yeah, it helped me become a better creative, and it helped me understand that advertising is not the center of the universe.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think sometimes a lot of people in advertising feel like they own the word creativity or conceptuality, but that's not true.
Not even close.
No, that's not true at all. The world of creativity is huge. It's so much larger than advertising, So that's why I like companies that are moving away from the traditional copywriter, art director style.
Into what? What are they moving towards?
I don't know, to be honest. No one has done it perfectly, but I think if you add, like, for instance, at BBDO, when I worked there, conceptually, the art director and copywriter come up with a concept, and then they tell the design department what to do and what they want. But I think that you should bring the design department early into the concepting process.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, their conceptual thinking is different, but it doesn't make it bad or not good or so that's something big that I'm a huge advocate of.
Why not throw everybody into the room?
Throw everybody into the room, honestly. That's even better. I think traditional advertising created the notion of, like, the lone creative, or, like, you know, two creators walk into a room and make magic or some, like, shit like that, you know? And I think that's absurd, you know? Like, anyone can come up with the idea, right? The only difference is my job is to come up with an idea even when I don't want to come up with an idea.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. So that's why you chose SCAD. You said your partner, your girlfriend at the time?
Well, yeah, that's not why I chose SCAD.
Well, no, what happened with her? I'm curious on that.
Oh, we broke up.
Oh.
Yeah.
For better or for worse?
Yeah, she works in advertising.
Small world.
Yeah, very small world.
Yep, but gotta be careful on that.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you break up because you guys didn't go to the same school?
Yeah, just long distance, you know. Nothing crazy. We're still friends.
That's good. That's good. What if you had to, like, pitch against her, like? The same
I mean,
client?
yeah, if I had to pitch, it's a different world, right?
Yeah, that's business, yeah. Okay, so SCAD, that's where you met Luke Sullivan, who is the instructor there, who is the author of Hey Whipple Squeeze This. A lot of people have to read that, myself included, undergrad-wise. It's a great book. Teaches creativity. What was it like having him as an instructor?
Oh, he's crazy. Like, he is one of the coolest people I've ever met, the realest people I've ever met. You know, when you say bring your authentic self, I think of Luke Sullivan. Because, and not only that, he expected everybody to be real with him, you know, to just say what's on their mind. And that's kind of his philosophy to tackling advertising.
Do you think you apply that today, like in your career, or is it scarier when there's a boss that can fire you?
Like, I think that's actually a really good question, because it depends on the agency.
Some will probably have cultures where you can't be yourself.
Some definitely have cultures where you can't be yourself.
Yeah.
At Mekanism, I'm myself for the most part. Am I 100%? No.
Nobody's 100%.
I'm like 75%.
And you're different than how you act around, like, your friends and when you're drinking, and obviously you're different there.
Yeah.
But there's different roles. But as long as you're pretty close, like, you're not going to be, like, on the couch chilling, stuff like that. But you're pretty close to who you are. That's all you can ask for.
Exactly. And I think that's because, like, people at Mekanism make me feel comfortable.
That's good.
To speak my mind.
How many people are at that agency?
Think about 200.
Okay. And where is it? It's Seattle?
It's Seattle. No, it's San Francisco's the head office. Okay. New York, Seattle, Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. They have a Chicago office.
So are you going to stay in the Chicago office?
No, I'm based out of Seattle.
Okay. So you'll go there eventually whenever?
Yeah, when the world isn't dying, probably.
Sure. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, where were we at? We were at Luke. And now,
Luke.
Oh, you're being your authentic self at work. So the culture is important. So you were at SCAD, and somebody, I think I was Sarah, our director of education at here at Chicago Portfolio School, was saying, like, you were, like, really good student there. Like she heard your name through the grapevine of other alum and other coworkers, and you were just like, you kicked ass there. What was, like, your key to success, or what was she wrong? Like, did you not do well? Like, what was your take on, like, Portfolio School and how you did well there? Like, what was your secret there?
Yeah, so I did well towards the end for sure, and I think it's because I switched my strategy. You know, I started just creating my own teams.
What do you mean?
I mean, I would scout people that I liked, that I thought
allowed?
were good.
Was that allowed?
Yeah.
Or did they pair it up for you?
No, some classes would, some classes wouldn't, but for the most part, you're allowed. You just need to be good at coordinating. So I already had some friends who I knew were really great at what they do. So I tackled, like, we all came together and we're like, okay, who else do we need, right? We need maybe a product designer. We need a copywriter.
Just
We went
gathering your perfect
interdisciplinary. Yeah. And then when I created this team, about 6-7 people,
Wow.
we just worked on projects solo, like as us outside of class.
Wow.
And it's much easier as SCAD because SCAD is, at the end of the day, a university style setup campus.
Sure.
So people meet each other every 10 minutes. You could
Gotcha.
literally be like, I'm going to go home, come back, let's go get a coffee. I'll meet you in 10 minutes. Like everybody's always seeing everybody.
Right.
So we would meet like 3-4 times a day, like as
wow.
if it's an agency, which helped because there was a lot of time we had to work on it.
Okay.
We worked on our own. We picked the professors that we thought would help us the most to be our mentors
Outside of class?
outside of class.
Wow.
Yeah, because there was a very strong outside of class culture.
That's good.
You know,
Try it. So wherever you're at, and even undergrad, create that outside of class culture. Get your team, get your Power 5.
Yeah.
Get your squad together and work.
Exactly. And we worked on one show. We worked on Red Dot. We worked on all projects that were award worthy.
Did you win any?
And we did. Yeah, we won a few. And I don't even know how, to be honest. Like, I was shocked.
What'd you win?
Well, we won a gold pencil.
No way.
Yeah, we won 2 silver and a bronze.
That's really good.
And then we won best of best at the Red Dot.
What's the Red Dot? I haven't heard
It's more of a design competition.
of that. Okay.
Yeah, it's really big for everyone outside of advertising. It's big in
Okay.
like the design world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you guys. Well, the gold pencil is what I know best, and that's huge.
Yeah. And we, among other things, and then that kind of propelled us, you know.
You had your same squad for all these awards.
Yeah. We took a picture with all of us.
You want
and-
to shout out some names?
Yeah,
Just by-
Alberto, V, Hope, Sydney, Vaughn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Fucking
Didn't forget
killed
them.
it.
Didn't forget them. You guys should still work together. Maybe that might be alluding
Well,
to something
here's the
in
thing.
future.
My partner right now is
One of your-
the same partner I had in school. Who we
Did you guys did you follow each other? Or
Yeah,
like-
yeah. I worked at BBDO,
Yes. Okay.
and then I brought him to BBDO.
Yes. So you went to SCAD. Let's break this
Yeah,
down in detail.
I went to SCAD.
And then you when you got done with SCAD with all your Power Squad, you won awards.
Yeah.
You did well. How'd you get to BBDO?
So I wasn't planning on moving to Chicago, and BBDO was not on my radar.
Okay. That's
You
fair.
know, I was thinking Boston. I liked Mullenlow in Boston.
Sure.
So I was talking to them. I was even thinking small at the time too, like Mono in Minneapolis. Badass agency.
I haven't heard of them.
I love Mono, honestly.
I know
like,
Fallon in Minneapolis is really cool.
yeah, I highly recommend Mono. You know, great people, kick-ass creative. If they had like, I don't know, if a huge brand like was willing to go to a smaller shop, that agency will fucking kill it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Mischief is killing it too.
Mischief, yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so Energy was not on your radar.
No, it
BBDO
wasn't.
was not. on your
So
radar.
I was talking to RGA,
They're really cool.
yeah,
in
for
New
a
York.
while.
Yeah.
And I was planning on going there.
Mm-hmm.
And then things just didn't work out with their budget.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It happens, you know?
Yeah.
But the recruiter there was just so nice
Mhm.
that he hooked me up with Energy BBDO.
Oh, nice.
So, because at that time I also was holding off on a lot of different opportunities because I thought RGA was in the bag, but it wasn't.
No, yeah, that happens.
So then he hooked it up at BBDO.
Nice.
So I got a call from him, and then
And did SCAD send the book out for you, or did they help you with the recruiting, or did you do this all on your own?
no, SCAD helped a ton with everything.
Did you have an internship at SCAD that they kind of mandated or they got for you, or did you just?
They did, yeah, at the Wonderful Agency.
Where's
in
that?
LA.
Oh,
It's an in-house agency.
Is there a U in that spelling, or is it just WN? How do you spell wonderful?
No, just regular.
Why am I thinking Wonderman Thompson? That's what.
Oh, that's right. No, Wonderful is like Palm Wonderful, like those little pomegranate drinks.
Oh,
yeah,
those are.
So the in-house,
in-house,
the pistachios also.
Oh,
so
okay.
that was my intern. I actually worked on a few wine things and then Palm. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so they got you that internship. You're kind of hoping to get probably work there, and then
no, I just wanted to be in California. As soon as I heard it was in Santa Monica, I was like,
I'll go.
I don't care what they do. Sign me up.
At least you're honest. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure it was a good experience as well. But.
Yeah.
So then they sent your book around, and then RGA said no to RGA said no to you for whatever reason.
Well, yeah, RGA was a complicated one because as time went on, I became more and more friends with the recruiter.
Yeah.
Like I even visited RGA's office
in New York.
Yeah.
How cool is it?
Yeah,
We visited
amazing.
there. It's just, the floors are so soft. They're like soundproof there.
Exactly, and that's after I already accepted the job with BBDO.
Oh, so you were still kind of holding on a little bit.
No, because the recruiter is the one who got me the BBDO job.
Oh, so
he told me to come by just to hang out.
Just dapped them up.
Just to hang out, So we hung out, got some food, chilled, showed me around, talked to a bunch of people.
It's cool there.
So I kind of just became friends with him, and
that's good.
He was really honest about
maybe in the future, you never know.
I still talk to him to this day.
That's why you got to keep healthy relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you ended up going to Energy.
I ended up going to Energy,
in Chicago. That's BBDO's branch in Chicago.
Yes.
They have Brown Foreman. I know that's like their big thing right now.
Yeah.
I know they have Extra Gum. They make those like tear-jerking commercials that everybody cries about when like the sad music for the
Sarah and Juan. Yeah. I actually met the real Juan who wrote his partner Sophia wrote that script, but it was based on his life, and everything in that commercial is real.
With the gum?
Yeah.
That has to be dramatized.
Of course it's dramatized.
It's like so crazy.
I mean, obviously it's
drama. Like the couple meets in high school and writes on a piece of gum.
Yeah. Juan, he's a real CD who we used to work at Energy BBDO. That's how he proposed to his wife. Now he works at FCB. It's real, I promise you. I was shocked too when I heard the story because obviously this is an old ad.
Yeah.
I wasn't even in advertising when it was done. So to hear the backstory of it was really...
They still play it every now and then. Or I see it pop up every now and then.
Yeah, it's
give extra, get extra.
Ad. Yeah.
That's the tagline. Okay. What'd you work on at Energy? And then, maybe even before that, how was the interview process for Energy?
Simple.
Yeah, they saw
3
your book.
interviews.
They liked you. They liked your stuff in your book. They liked who you were. And they said, all right, we got a spot for you. And then did your teammate, your partner, your copywriter come with you?
No, my partner had another year at SCAD.
Oh, so you're kind of like solo for a little bit.
No, I had a partner.
Yeah, but
at BBDO.
Not the same.
But not the same, yeah.
That's your homie.
That's exactly. It was tough. So I ended up bringing him to be my partner.
When he was done with SCAD.
with SCAD.
What's his name?
Alberto,
shout out. Okay.
Yeah. And they didn't make us partners, which upset me a bit.
Wait a minute. I thought, did you say this has to be a package deal?
I did, yeah.
And they were like, okay, we'll get you a package deal. This was at Energy?
Yep.
And then they didn't put you together?
No.
Was it because they didn't have the budget or their teams needed elsewhere?
I have no idea why, to be honest. I'm sure they had their reasons.
It wasn't like, just don't let them work together.
No, it wasn't.
I'm sure they had they needed something over here and they needed you over there.
I'm sure it was like a business decision. So.
Yeah, those logistics, yeah.
But I was not happy with it.
Sure.
And I was kind of upset about not being promoted. So I left.
Sure.
And I went to Leo Burnett.
Okay. And did Alberto come with you to Leo Burnett?
No.
Oh my gosh. What drew you to Leo Burnett then?
Leo Burnett was great. Like I said, Leo was one of those agencies that I've always dreamt about.
Everybody in the country. Well, especially because I'm in Chicago and you're in Chicago. That's just U of I, every school wants to go to end up to be Leo.
Yeah, exactly. So when I ended up at Leo, I was happy.
Absolutely. You did it.
I was excited. It was like, fuck yeah, this is it. They were paying me good money. Everything was great.
And what was your role there?
I was an art director.
Okay.
Yeah. And, things were just really slow at Leo.
Mm-hmm. What client were you on?
I was on Campbell's.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
It's a fun client.
It's really traditional, old school.
Yeah, and so much potential.
Of course.
I mean, it's a legacy brand.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Warhol, there was so much to play with, but they were not really interested.
Who wasn't interested, Leo or the client? I
think it's a combination of both.
Well, if the client's not interested, it's hard to manage that expectation.
Yeah, it's a balance. I don't know. It was a tough, sticky situation, and I can't really say much about it because I wasn't in the room where the conversations were happening.
You were just getting the briefs.
Exactly.
Which is natural.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they have their reasons as to why. But
it's a large agency, it's
big agency.
A lot of bureaucracy, I'm sure, a lot of levels, a lot of layers.
But the good things about Leo, let me say a few good things because there are a lot of good things. First, they really do care about their employees.
That's great.
They send a lot of stuff to you.
Apples.
I got a Yeti cooler for no reason. I have gotten so much alcohol from them, and Grubhub,
Well, they can treat you well. Like they can. Yeah. There's a lot of perks, I'm sure.
They treat you very, very well.
Right, but you work hard, I'm sure.
Yes.
Added stress with the name.
But to me, it was about the work and the business model, which was very similar to BBDO's business model.
The human, what?
Which is that if we need to sacrifice creativity to make more money, that's okay. And I think they lean a bit more towards we need to make money, rather than there are times we could fight for the creative. And I just didn't see that fight. I saw a lot of compromise from the agency side, but I saw no fighting, to prect work.
And that just might be on your experience with Campbell's. There could be other clients.
Absolutely. I can't speak to other.
No.
Yeah.
Because those large companies like that, it's branched off. It's pretty siloed with larger clients, I'm sure. So
yeah,
that's okay. So how long were you at Leo for, and then you just recently left there?
Yeah, I was at Leo for 10 months,
mm-hmm.
and then I bounced.
Why'd you bounce? What was the reason for that?
It was actually a very random reason. I had a friend who recently got let go from Energy BBDO,
mm-hmm.
and she was looking for a job everywhere,
mm-hmm.
And she was getting pretty lucky, had a lot of interviews with a lot of different agencies, and she was over my house one day, and she's like, hey, I just got off the phone with Mekanism, and I'm probably not going to move forward with them because I want to pick another agency. Would you be interested?
Interesting.
And I was like...
So she was far along with this interview process, and she kind of passed you in? She tagged you in?
Well, she kindly declined and then tagged me in.
Right. I'm good on this, but you should talk to Remy.
Yeah. And then I got hit up, and then I said, whoa, I love Mekanism. I mean, I've always been trying to get into Mekanism, so since SCAD days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's always been difficult.
Interesting.
They never respond.
Where did your friend go? And
who?
Why did you? The one that tagged you in, that's respectfully.
Martin Agency.
Okay, well that's a
Yeah.
just as good.
Yeah, it's a great agency.
It's a phenomenal agency.
Yeah, and then I spoke with Mekanism's recruiter, and my only request was I need to bring my partner.
We've heard this before.
Yeah.
And did they say yes?
Yes.
And did they follow through?
Yes.
Good.
And now I finally work with Alberto, who I've been trying to work with.
Love it. And he was at Energy?
BBDO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it all worked out. Now you're there. You've been there for a couple of months now.
Yeah.
You're with your buddy.
And it's been absolutely amazing. You know, people care. Transparency.
Mm-hmm.
People say it. They just say it. They say what it is. Like, they don't beat around the bush or...
Sure.
You
or
know,
the vernacular of agency,
corporate world slang, like.
Love it.
So I mean, I'm less stressed at Mekanism because I could at least just be myself and know that that's okay.
Okay, I love that. So you've had some travels, you've had some trials at different agencies. You went through cooking school to finance to SCAD. It took you a while to get to a point now where you're truly happy, creating good work, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What advice now, looking back, you know, from the moment that you decided to enter advertising, what advice do you have for the listeners out there that you wish you knew back then when you first were starting?
I think my biggest advice is people are going to tell you that there are certain agencies that you should work for, or there's certain work that you should be doing. But I say, fuck all that. You know? Just do whatever you want to do. And I think the biggest thing is to discover what kind of person you are. You know? When you walk into an interview with an agency, I think you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you.
Right.
If that interview goes bad, good. That means, imagine if it went bad and you got the job, you're going to hate your fucking life.
Right.
Right? That's just like the first red flag. And I think sometimes we compromise because it's BBDO or because it's any agency, right? Even Wyden has its problems.
Sure.
You know, if you don't feel comfortable somewhere, go somewhere that makes you feel comfortable. And go somewhere that's making the work that you want to make.
Love it.
Psychological comfort.
I get the issue though of people want to start off big, like their first job should be big agency, big name, big client, because then you can transfer to small, and then you can be more comfortable there. But you're saying that's not the case.
I don't think that's the case, to be honest with you. I think talent rises. I think I have seen people who come from small agencies and end up at Wyden, and I've seen the opposite, you know. But if you look at most, like, I know people love to use Wyden as an example, right? But if you look at most people they hire, they don't come from BBDO or from, you know, Leo Burnett. Most of them come from random agencies, you know. So it's really more about the character and the personality rather than specifically like you came from this agency.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit of a paradox.
Yeah. What inspires you to stay creative? What do you listen to? What do you watch? Anything out there that you recommend for the audience?
How to be creative.
Yeah.
It's like $1 million question.
Is there like a YouTube channel, influencer, somebody like that a book that you've read, anything out there that you really enjoyed?
Yeah. I think my approach to how to stay creative is to, especially in advertising, is to do everything but advertising. You know? Because what you know right now in your brain is just going to put together things you know to solve a problem. But you need new experiences in your mind. So I always recommend like going to a museum. Obviously, that's like the low-hanging tree. It doesn't have to be a museum. Sure. Go to Starbucks and watch people. Watch human moments. Watch culture. Get in culture. You know, Reddit. Like, Reddit is great for advertisers. Even Twitter. If you just scroll through Twitter and just read random thoughts from people, that helps as well.
I like that point. You can only really come up with solutions that you've already seen before.
Yeah.
So you got to get outside of your own comfort zone for sure.
Yeah, it's like that I don't know if everybody feels like that, but have you ever, like, when you're little and your mom is like, hey, let's go to your aunt's house, or like somewhere you've never been, and you're like, no, it's gonna be fucking stupid, but then you end up going, and then after all that you're like, oh wait, I had a good time.
Yeah.
That's the metaphor I like to use for this, because just do something you've never done, and if you'll hate it, but at the end you'll be like, oh wait, that was kind of entertaining, and it's gonna help you out.
I love it. Well, this has been great. That's all I got. I mean, can people reach out to you if they have any questions or about creativity, about, SCAD? You are obviously an instructor at Chicago Portfolio School, which we got to plug real quick. It's a great school. It's a one-year program, a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And you do a great job. The students love you here at Chicago Portfolio School. But is it okay if people reach out to you?
Yeah, totally. I am 100% okay with people messaging me random shit.
I love it. Great. Well, that's all I got. This has been an absolutely fantastic episode. And go to our Instagram at Entering Ad to find out more about Remy and his resources.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Did you hear anything on this episode about a job you'd like to have someday, soon, in advertising, strategy, design? The kind of job where you use your brain and your creativity? If you did, chances are a portfolio can really help you get that job. That's where Chicago Portfolio School comes in. They have programs and classes that help you show off your thinking and get you the job you want. So visit them at chicagoportfolio.com. And if you drop my name, Gino, into the chat box, they'll send you more info and a cool Sharpie. Or just some more info. You can decide that. Thanks. Thank you all for listening to this entire episode of the Breaking and Entering Advertising podcast. I hope you enjoyed this week's guest. Make sure you go and connect with them on LinkedIn. Tell them that Breaking and Entering sent you. Now, thank you to Mikey Malarkey, our audio technician, and Buchun Zhang, our creative director, as well as the student team from the Midnight Oil Agency at the University of Illinois. Can't do it without you all. Thank you very much. We will see you all next week with another amazing guest.